We are back with the second session tonight, and I am joined by Lori Moody's husband. Now, the reason why...
she said, you want me to walk by and wave? And I said, no, don't do that.
Yeah, that's right, because everyone... More people... So you go to DJ Expo, and this guy named Steve's up on stage talking. The seminar ends, and there's lines forming. One forms to see the speaker, and then one forms to see Lori.
This is how it is.
Guess which one has more people?
Well, there's no doubt. Oh, I forgot. I had garlic bread for dinner. I'll take a mint here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Digital carries it right on through.
I know.
Steve Moody. Good evening, my friend.
How are you? You look like you're doing great, man. I was just watching the show, and you're smiling, having such a good time.
Yeah, it's a great evening. We've got some cool stuff tonight. It's going to be a great night. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, I didn't get the link in for the second show. They're in the description. They'll find it. They'll find us here tonight.
Yes,
with our show and such. We're going to tweet out here. Oh, it automatically tweeted. What am I talking about? So. Steve, tonight we're going to talk about, we got a few topics we're going to hit on, and we're going to kind of kick off our talk now. You were mentioning something, you were up in Canada.
This is really, really cool.
Yeah, let's start right there.
Sure. So the Canadian Disc Jockey Association, they put on just how we have DJ Times and Mobile Beat. They run one of their own every year. And so I was asked to go up to Toronto this past winter. We went up in March, and it was amazing. It's not the scale, obviously, of what we have here in the States, but some really good speakers. I mean, I took several pages, I say pages, but on my iPad, several pages of iPad notes,
Yep.
But it was I thought it was just a great conference. It reminded me a lot, if anybody's ever been to ARMS DJs that Robbie puts on, just very intimate, very small, and you get to really know people, and you get to spend time with the presenters. And it was just a great experience all the way around. Loved it.
Very nice.
Definitely sometime.
Now, and you spoke up there, is that correct?
Yeah. So I told him, I said, I'm working on this seminar for the DJ Times Expo. And I said, I would love the chance to present it like a shorter version, because all their seminars are a little bit shorter in Canada. And so I only talked for about 45 minutes.
Is that an exchange rate joke?
Oh, so
I'm just...
exchange rate, eh? I learned that from my friends up there, eh? And they, believe it or not, John, they think that I have a Southern accent. And I said, no. I said, if I had a Southern accent, I'd talk like this here. And they said, well, you almost sound like that. And I was like, no way, you're killing me. Oh my gosh, I didn't think it was that bad. Oh man. But so the seminar that I did, I took all these famous people, think like Ryan Seacrest, Bob Barker, Drew Carey, famous people that we see that have used their vocal tool to get to just a higher level of performance. They've become radio personalities, TV personalities. They host special events like New Year's Eve. And I'm like, what do these people have that we can learn from as DJs, is our master ceremony skills can get better from these guys, So I compared and contrasted a lot of these great folks that we've always looked at growing up, learning from, and a lot of them had a lot of similarities. And so I took all of those and then applied that to our job as an MC for wedding reception. And so that's what the whole seminar was about. And I think it was really well received. We got a lot of great feedback, and already asked to go back for next year. So it's good.
Very nice. Now you've gotten feedback from people. What are a couple of things that were in the presentation that people were like, it's like, wow, that didn't occur to me, because there's generally somebody who comes up with that one for you.
Sure. Well, I think that there were so many just little things that you see people do on TV. And one of the examples that I gave, and I actually had video of like TV shows like The Price is Right and, Wheel of Fortune, where all these hosts are on. And one of the biggest things was closing the gap between your audience and where you are. So for example, when we do those introductions, like I've learned from Mike Walter from the very beginning, from my first conference, get out from behind the table and closing that gap between you and your audience. That's why Drew doesn't stand back at the curtain to do all his announcements of what prizes are coming up and host the games. He comes right up to the front of that stage, and he's like one-on-one with each person. He's got eye contact, and there's something different for you. You just develop a relationship with your audience so much better when you close that gap.
So let's put that in relation to a mobile DJ.
Sure.
How would we close that gap?
So, when we do our introductions, I never stand behind the table anymore holding that microphone. I'm always out either in the center of the dance floor or as close as I can. If the chairs are set around the perimeter of the dance floor, I'm right in with the folks, and I'm looking them in the eye. And there's so much to be said for that, because once you can get the eye contact with people, you know who's following you. You can see who's for you. smiling along and got their grin as you're talking. And then those are the folks to hit up later on when it's time to party, So like you're developing these relationships really early on, who to hit later on when it's time to get up and go. So that was something that a lot of people came up and told me that, that they thought was something interesting about the seminar, but it was just little teeny, like Randy says, the 1% solution, just that 1% little difference. And so it was a whole bunch of little 1%. It was like a mini Randy Bartlett session. It really was. He's lost a lot of weight. It's got to be a mini Randy Bartlett. He's fun size now.
Exactly. I mean, he isn't the full king size candy bar anymore.
No, he's fun size, snack size. Watching, I know, I love him.
Yeah.
My good bud.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So and Lori went with me, and we just, they treated us golden there. They were so respectful. It was a really good group of people. And I felt like, when we go to Atlantic City, that's like our second home when we get to the DJ Expo. I just feel like all of our family and friends are there. That's probably, during the course of the year, that's my favorite place to be. I feel like it's a family reunion, and that's exactly how we were treated up there. And so I look forward, one day going back up and doing it again. It was good.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's look at DJ Expo now. How many years have you been attending Expo?
So the first year we went was 2007, and folks had asked me, one of my dear friends for years, please come with me. And I'm like, I don't need that. I got this. I'm doing well. And man, if I would have went, 10 years earlier, all I can think of is I'd be a bazillionaire by now. I should have listened to this guy 10 years ago, 10 years before that. But Nick Burke was telling me for years to go. I finally went, and I think I learned more in those 3 days than I had done for almost 18 years on my own at that point,
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm up to, this is 27 years in business this spring. And it's just all been cake, for the past couple of years, and starting to go to the expo and taking everything that we're learning and putting it into practice. And I know everybody gets different results, but like everything we learn, I'm doing, I don't just say I'm going to do it. I bring it home and I do it. And that's what the difference is. People say, oh, I went, it's not for me. Well, you didn't put it into practice.
For sure. So 2007.
I'm excited about this year too. Can I tell you about this year? What we have going?
Well, let's go ahead. We'll hit that, and then we'll kind of go backwards. Yep.
Sure. So for this year, for the past 6 years, we've had the AllStar MCs, and that is basically folks that I've asked around the country to come in and be a part of a panel and share something as an MC that's a little bit different from anybody else. Like maybe, we all do the cake cutting, but maybe they got a special way that they do it that nobody's done it before, the way they introduce the daddy-daughter dance or whatever it is. So we got a really great lineup this year. I've got Adam White's coming back. He's been on the panel before. And every time he's on the panel, like he knocks it out of the park. People love him. He keeps them cracking up. He's a great guy to have on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody brand new this year that's never been on is Pascal from Canada, from up in Quebec, Canada. Pascal Levesque. He's going to be there. He won runner-up DJ of the year the very first year that he came to the expo. And he's got a lot of insight, and I'm interested to hear from him because I know things are different in Canada, the way that their presentational style. And so I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. George Cremitas has been on stage countless times at the DJ Expo. George is going to be one of the presenters. He's from Delaware. I'm trying to think of who else we have. Chris Atwood from New Jersey is going to be there too. And
okay.
He competed in DJ of the year last year and just, sounds great on the microphone, and he's always pushing the envelope, got lots of great new ideas. So I'm really excited about him too. And then my big one that I'm really excited about, just because he's not that one's any better than the other, but the fact that he's coming so far to come up and be a part of it, Joe Bunn is going to come up from Carolinas to be a part of it. So excited about it.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
That'll definitely be.
It's a wide range of folks. It's going to be a lot of different perspectives, I think,
Mm-hmm. So now with the when you've been putting together the seminars like that, can't even think the panels. Doing panels now, how many years have you guys been doing the panels?
I want to say that this is the 6th year, but it might be the 7th. I think this might be the 7th year. The first year was 2009, so this is the 7th year. Yeah.
7th year of the panels, yeah. And I've talked to people afterwards. Unfortunately, because when I'm there, I'm shooting video, and I've been running crazy,
Sure.
so I haven't been able to see it. But I've heard people really have appreciated the time and effort and work you put into those, because they have learned things from the people who are there basically to share and give back to the industry.
Well, that was my whole reason. The first couple of years that we came, like I saw different people and I thought, wow, I'd love if that guy could just give me 10 minutes, or if that guy could give me 15 minutes. So I thought, well, man, if nobody else is going to ask him to do it, I'm going to see if I can't put on a panel, and we'll get some of the best going to ask him to do it. I'm all over the country and share their ideas, and I'll host it. And I sit and take notes just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing from them. talk about, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I think people may not know is when we're busy, putting things together, whether it's putting these shows together or conventions or panels, is we learn almost more than
Sure.
than some of the other people. And
Yeah.
and that's one of the things I love about it is because you can do these things, you can get people in there and they share. And sometimes it's the stuff they share on stage that's gold, and then there's times where there's gold from as the in the green room stages and.
Yeah. We learn as much in the hallways sometimes as we do actually, sitting in there in the seminar room. And that's I think one of the coolest parts about it. Just, I think back to all the years prior to that first conference. I had no friends in this business at all. And I think about like where I am now. Like a few years ago, we had sound equipment stolen, and man, I put that online, and within a half hour, there was 200 some DJs. Hey, if you need anything for this weekend, let me know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such, I heard you talk about Alex with it. It's a good community of folks. And yes, sometimes we torment the tar out of each other or whatever, and we nitpick each other. But when you need family, they're always there for you. They really are.
That's for sure. And that's one of the cool things. We started in this industry, some of us, 20, some 30 years ago. And the friendships we've made at things like DJ Expo and the different conventions and outings is just incredible when you really think about it. People that when we first started would have been, I'm not talking to them, they're a competitor.
Right.
And now
not
they're
anymore. No. What's sad is that the folks in my local market here, I have a tough time getting together with them. And I don't know whether that's it. Well, I know it's not like that in Jersey, because my gosh, you look at the New Jersey Disc Jockey Network and they all network together. They got something special going on. In my own market here in Maryland, it's really tough to get a group of guys together. I think they feel like you're either out to outshine them or to show you're better than somebody else. And I've tried numerous times to get everybody together on Facebook and to have different meetings and stuff. And it's tricky. And I wish that they could see what people have in other parts of the country and realize, wow, we could really do something special together if we did. But it's hard.
It is so much. And the group that I started with the Map DJ thing, when we did that a few years back, that little core, as we look at it today, we tried to have a meeting or get together last week, and a few made it, but it's now everyone is now we have children that are at different stages of their lives, and as all these different things, it's like, gosh, it seemed that maybe we just weren't as busy back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and how we even to try to do a thing like this, where we're just going to sit down for half an hour and talk is, wow, how do you find the time and such?
We're way busier than what we ever were. There's just so many things. And I know with us specifically, it's having kids that are 8 and 10 years old and into sports and dance and theater, everything, so you've got that in addition to your life. And really, it's like we put their life ahead of ours. 99% of the time, their life's ahead of ours.
Very much
I kind of fill in and do whatever I can do on the side,
Yeah, exactly.
Lori's amazing. She is super mom. She gets some everywhere they got to be every night of the week. Somebody's got to be somewhere, and she's on it. If I've got meetings at the office, she's there.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Once they hit that age, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have band tonight. Then we've got, and then I've got to be that, and you've got to. Oh my goodness gracious! And those of you who've had teenagers for years, you guys, know what we're talking about.
They know, and if you haven't had it, you're in for it. I'll tell you what.
It's coming. It's definitely coming.
We've been growing.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. I'm just checking it, just kind of keeping an eye on the chat board also.
Sure.
Let's talk about with a little bit more with DJ Expo. That's coming up. There are people who are watching, of course, that have never attended a convention, any convention, much less DJ Expo. If you were going to, as they were trying to do to you back in 2006 and 5 to get you to eventually there in 2007, what could you give them for advice of why they should go? And how for someone who, maybe probably just doesn't think they can afford it.
Right. Well, first off, you can't afford not to go. That was one of my issues for years, is that I always had a regular gig on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. And I'm like, well, I can't give that up. And my gosh, that is just a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of knowledge that you're going to gain and put back into your business. Right. So take those days off of work and make it happen. That's all I can say. And there is a preconceived notion that you're either going to be alone, you're not going to have any friends, you're in a market where it's very competitive, and it's just very different. I can't tell you, like the attitudes are checked at the doorway when you walk into that seminar room, and everybody, they're there because they want to help you. They're there because they want to work with you and learn with you. It's just not like being at home. And I think a lot of people have in their mind that it's a certain thing until they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it would be like this, you know? And I think that has a lot to do with why people don't come. For some people, it's not the money. It's just that preconceived notion of what they think it's going to be. And then they get there and like, my gosh, I should have been here for years. You know?
Let's we're going to take a little break here for a sponsor break. Let's come back and let's talk about when you're there and you don't know anyone. What's some ways to break that ice and such? Let's do that right after our sponsor break. We've got DJ Event Planner and Electro Voice with the EKX speakers, which EKX speakers are on. They've got a sale going on right now through the month of June. You guys can check that out at electrovoice.com/EKX. And DJ Event Planner is the online planning tool that DJs from around the world are using. So we have two sponsors right here.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And those are a couple of our sponsors from summer 2016. The links are all down below in the description. Steve just went down to go check the links, and they are indeed there. So,
yeah.
So Steve, before the break, we were talking about DJ Expo, and I wanted to cover a little bit about how to break the ice with other DJs in the room, because that can be really intimidating. Especially, I'm going to give you an example. You have Mike Walter there, who's very well known and is kind of a big name in the industry, and he does a lot of things there. And you want to kind of go and introduce yourself, and he's got an entourage is the best way to describe it.
That is the best thing to do, is find the folks that you want to get to know and get yourself in front of them. The very worst time to do it is if they're in a private conversation, especially if, like, for example, if, Lori and I, some nights when we're not doing things directly for the expo, we might be out on a date night. Maybe we're going to the movies or whatever. And so we're sitting at dinner by ourselves and trying to be away from everything. That's obviously not the best time to do it. But, if you're walking around the hallways, if you're sitting having lunch or whatever, just take the time to say hello. And I think the first 2 years I was really, really leery about it. I think people come off as having a larger than life presence, like people like Mike, like Big Daddy. And I'll tell you how I met Big Daddy. We had planned to meet with somebody else one morning, and that person stood us up. I won't mention their name because I'm friends with them and they would probably be embarrassed, but they stood us up for breakfast, and here comes Big Daddy. And I said, oh, there's that guy that was on stage the other night. And I said, but he's looking for somebody to sit with. Let's invite him to sit down. And she said, oh, we don't know him. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. So I waved him over and I said, you want to come sit down? And my God, we've been best of friends ever since. We talk a couple times a week, and it's just, that's how it happens. You just got to insert yourself into people's lives. Don't wait for them to come to you because they've got 1,000 other people talking at them.
Very much so. And I like the way you started out, though, is that there are times where there are those personal conversations going on or those personal moments, and to be respectful of those moments. And that might mean, I've walked down the hall and I've seen some friends, and you can just tell that conversation is something I shouldn't be getting into. Right. And it's not that I'm ignoring them, but I'm respecting that conversation, and I don't want to bother them. I don't want to take their focus away. I'll talk to them, in an hour or what have you, or say.
Yeah, I said to somebody one time, they and I won't even say the name of the person that they talked, but they said such and such. They ignored me, and I said, well, when did you go to talk to them? And they said, well, right after they were done their seminar, I went up there. It was like 30 people up there, and they just ignored me. And I'm like, well, if 30 people were standing in line to talk to them right after their seminar, that probably wasn't the best time to grab their attention. But a lot of it is in people's heads. There's a lot of the guys that are up front are phenomenal people. I can only think of one or two that I've seen in the past 10 years or however long I've been going that are not up to par of being great people inside and out. There's only a handful of folks that are like that. The rest of the guys are just wonderful folks, both up in front and in life. Great people.
For sure. And that's very well said. We've got a couple of minutes left here. Looking ahead, I mentioned this with Alex, about what's in the future for Steve Moody. if you're looking ahead the next year or two, what are some things that you're kind of looking forward to that are on the radar for you?
Sure. Well, we're growing right now rapidly. When I first started, I started in '89. It was just me. Came to the expo, saw Mike talk about, building your brand and, what we're going to leave your kids, what we're going to retire on. And so we slowly started to bring people in, and we've been bringing in like 2 or 3 a season. So now we're up to 17 of us total, which is, to me, like, wow, like I can't even believe that that's even possible.
Wow. Congratulations.
Many weekends. Thank you, bud. Many weekends on these busy months like May and June, September and October, we might have 8 to 10 weddings on a weekend. And I know the larger companies, that's, small potatoes. But for me, as this kid that was doing it on my own, just for fun on the side, then trying to grow this business, I'm blown away by that. We just outgrew the office that we were in, and we moved to a new office in Easton, Maryland. Just this past Tuesday was our first day in there. And so we've got to the end of the month. So tomorrow, got to get in and get the vacuum cleaner and dust out the other place, because want to get that security deposit back. There's no doubt in my mind. That's right. We're going to head over and we're going to wipe the walls down, I'll tell you that. But it's an exciting time for us. I've got several new guys this season that are really up and coming. I know everybody's business is different. We always go out in teams of 2. So you've got your lead MC that is the more experienced of the 2, and then you've got an assistant DJ working under their direction to play the music up for them while we go out to do the toasts and the blessings and lead into the cake cutting and the introductions and all that sort of stuff. So it frees up the MC to be out and more involved. And we've just got some really great up-and-comers this season. I'm excited about it. And in fact, one of the guys that really shot to the top last season, his younger brother just came on board with us this year. So I'm proud of him. It's going to be a good year.
Nice.
We've already started out really, really well. So I have high hopes for where we're heading this year.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. It's always cool to be hearing success stories and the different things.
We're by no means millionaires, but we're doing well, and I'm happy that we're doing well.
Yeah, great. No, congratulations. Good stuff. I've got 2 more questions for you. We're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back. And then we'll have to wrap things up. So we've got Color Key and Top Hits USA as our summer sponsors 2016.
Top Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
Okay, Steve, I've got 2 questions here, and then we're going to wrap things up because Randy Bartlett, I think if I'm not mistaken, he is like at the door right now, and I hear some scratching.
Yeah, he's called Lori on the phone about 6 times already, telling him that he's better looking than me now that he's thin. Oh, he's such a uber.
Oh, okay.
So
Steve,
I'm sitting there at the AllStar panel, and I'm getting texts from him saying, "Your wife can't keep her hands off me." That's the kind of stuff that's going on. At the AllStar panel. Well, I'm up in front of everybody and can't say anything. I get a text on my phone and look down, and it's him in the front row next to Lori. She can't keep her hands off me.
I think we all have that problem.
Yeah. Something else, man.
Okay, we've got a couple minutes left. What do you think? Hot song so far this year that's going to be the hot song of summer? We're kind of wanting to get...
Okay, so it's killing me to say this, but the new one from Justin Timberlake that was in that movie. Last night, I had 4 requests for that song, and we played it, and all 4 times everybody jumped out. And I don't hardly ever play a song twice in a night, but this group really, they were digging it, So we did. But I'm still finding that songs, so I think that's like 115 beats per minute, something like that. I'm still finding that the majority of the crowd still is like jumping up and down on like 128 to 132. Like that's the ones that get them going. Like you think songs from Rihanna and Pitbull and artists like that are still really, really big this season. They're the ones that are still filling the dance floor this year. There hasn't been for us, I think, anything that's like wow this season yet. And maybe it's just around the corner and we don't know it. But here locally, there's been nothing that has that wow factor.
Very cool. Very cool. For people who want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Sure. So my direct email address is owner, OWNER, @stevemoody.com. Our Facebook page is Steve Moody's Entertainment Connection. I just had a little thing happen today with Facebook, with social media. I think I'm going to stop using social media for personal purposes and just work on it for business just for a while and take a little break from it. There's been so much controversy over the past couple of months, and I just want to cleanse myself of it and get away. And maybe I'll come back to it. I don't know. But for right now, I'm going to keep my personal life personal, and just use the Facebook for business purposes.
Yeah, I can definitely I can hear you when it comes to that, because
I love everybody. I've got so many friends from all over the place, different backgrounds, and I hate to see people fighting, and I hate to get involved in people's conversations. So
and at this time of the year, and it's going to only get worse, I think, for the next few months. So.
I 100% agree with you.
Steve, thank you very much for being on with me tonight. For those of you watching, you can go and in the video in the description is the link for the third video, which will be Randy Bartlett, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes with that. Steve, once again, thank you much, and we will see you at Expo here in a couple of months.
My pleasure. Everybody have a great night. Have fun, Randy Bartlett.
All right. Thank you much. Bye-bye.